5 women who swore to serve and protect America became some of the most notorious criminals in military history. They raised their right hands, took sacred oaths to defend the Constitution, and promised to uphold the highest standards of military honor. Instead, they chose betrayal over duty, crime over country, and personal gain over national security. Welcome to Savage Case Files. Today, we're exposing the female military personnel who shattered the trust placed in them by their fellow soldiers and the American people. These aren't stories of battlefield mistakes or judgment errors under pressure. These are deliberate acts of corruption, espionage, and abuse that damaged America's military reputation across the globe. From the torture chamber of Abu Ghraib to the intelligence vaults of the Pentagon, these women exploited their positions of trust to commit crimes that shocked the world. Their actions compromised national security operations, endangered American lives, and handed propaganda victories to our enemies. The collective damage spans decades of military operations and international relations. These 5 cases represent the ultimate violation of military trust. Women who used their access, training, and authority to commit crimes that reverberated far beyond their individual actions. Each case reveals how personal motivations can override professional duty, leading to consequences that extend from prison cells to international headlines. Their sentences ranged from 6 months to 35 years, but the damage to military credibility and national security cannot be measured in prison time alone. These women didn't just break military law, they broke faith with every service member who honors their oath. Hit subscribe to never miss our investigations into military betrayals and the pursuit of justice. Today we examine how 5 women turned military service into criminal enterprise and how justice finally caught up with their betrayals. Case 1. Lynndie, England. Lynndie, England grew up in the small town of Fort Ashby, West Virginia, population 1,300, where military service represented honor and opportunity for working-class families. Born in 1982, she joined the Army Reserve's 372nd Military Police Company, seeking purpose and a chance to serve her country. At 21 years old, England appeared to be a dedicated young soldier, ready to make her mark in military service. In 2003, England deployed to Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom, assigned to Abu Ghraib prison west of Baghdad. The facility housed thousands of Iraqi detainees, including suspected insurgents and common criminals. England's role as a military police officer placed her in direct contact with prisoners, giving her authority over some of Iraq's most dangerous individuals. Abu Ghraib prison became a powder keg of tension, overcrowding, and inadequate supervision. Military intelligence personnel pressured guards to soften up detainees before interrogations, creating an environment where abuse could flourish. England found herself caught between conflicting orders and a toxic command structure that would lead to international scandal. The crimes began in late 2003 when England and other guards started systematically abusing Iraqi prisoners. She participated in forcing naked detainees into human pyramids, dragging prisoners across floors with leashes, and posing for photographs while pointing at prisoners' genitals. These weren't isolated incidents but part of a systematic pattern of humiliation and torture. England's relationship with fellow guard Charles Grainer complicated her situation as she became pregnant with his child while participating in the abuse. The personal relationship created additional pressure to conform to the group's criminal behavior. Her youth and inexperience made her vulnerable to manipulation by more senior personnel who encouraged the abuse. But the photographs that made her famous would destroy her life forever. In January 2004, specialist Joseph Darby turned over a CD containing hundreds of digital photographs documenting the systematic abuse at Abu Ghraib. The images showed England and other guards torturing, humiliating, and degrading Iraqi prisoners in ways that violated every principle of military conduct. The photographs exploded across international media in April 2004, with England's image becoming the symbol of American military misconduct. The picture of her holding a leash attached to a naked prisoner became one of the most recognizable images of the Iraq War. Her smiling face, while pointing at naked prisoners, shocked the world and damaged America's reputation globally. Military investigators launched a comprehensive investigation into the Abu Ghraib scandal, interviewing hundreds of personnel and reviewing thousands of photographs. England's participation was undeniable. The photographic evidence showed her direct involvement in multiple incidents of prisoner abuse. Her defense team argued she was following orders and influenced by senior personnel. The legal proceedings revealed the extent of England's crimes across multiple incidents spanning several months. She faced charges including conspiracy to maltreat detainees, maltreating detainees, and committing indecent acts. The prosecution presented overwhelming photographic evidence of her systematic participation in prisoner abuse. In May 2005, Lynndie, England, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to maltreat detainees, maltreating detainees, and committing indecent acts. The military court sentenced her to 3 years in prison and a dishonorable discharge from the Army. She served approximately 17 months in military prison before her release. England's case became a symbol of military misconduct that damaged America's reputation worldwide. The Abu Ghraib photographs provided propaganda material for insurgent groups and undermined U.S. efforts to win hearts and minds in Iraq. Her actions contributed to increased violence against American forces and damaged relationships with Iraqi civilians. The young woman from West Virginia who joined the Army seeking honor became instead a symbol of military disgrace. England's participation in systematic prisoner abuse violated every principle of military conduct and international law. Her case demonstrated how individual actions can have far-reaching consequences for national security and military operations. Case 2. Sabrina D. Harmon. Sabrina Harmon grew up in Lorton, Virginia, with a passion for photography that would ultimately become the key evidence in her own conviction. Born in 1978, she joined the Army Reserve as a military police officer while working as a pizza delivery driver in civilian life. Her hobby of documenting everything around her with her camera seemed harmless until she was deployed to Abu Ghraib prison in 2003. Harmon served with the 372nd Military Police Company alongside Lynndie, England, assigned to guard Iraqi detainees at the notorious prison facility. Unlike many of her fellow guards, Harmon appeared more thoughtful and questioning about the treatment of prisoners. She would later claim her photographs were meant to document abuse rather than celebrate it, but the evidence told a different story. The 26-year-old reservist brought her digital camera to Abu Ghraib, continuing her lifelong habit of photographing significant events. What started as personal documentation became systematic recording of prisoner abuse, torture, and humiliation. Harmon's camera captured some of the most damaging images in American military history, including the infamous hooded prisoner standing on a box with electrical wires attached. Harmon participated directly in prisoner maltreatment while simultaneously documenting the abuse with her camera. She posed for photographs while standing over naked prisoners, gave thumbs-up signs next to corpses, and helped arrange detainees into humiliating positions. Her dual role as participant and photographer made her crimes particularly damaging to military credibility. The systematic nature of Harmon's documentation revealed the extent of abuse at Abu Ghraib. Her photographs showed consistent patterns of prisoner humiliation, sexual abuse, and physical torture, spanning multiple incidents over several months. Each image provided prosecutors with undeniable evidence of systematic criminal behavior by military personnel. But her camera would capture evidence that convicted her and exposed the full scope of Abu Ghraib abuse. When specialist Joseph Darby discovered the photographs on a shared computer, he immediately recognized their significance and turned them over to military investigators. Harmon's own documentation became the primary evidence against her and her fellow guards. The investigation revealed Harmon's complex motivations for photographing the abuse. She claimed she wanted to document wrongdoing to expose it later, but her participation in the abuse contradicted this explanation. Her letters home to family members showed she understood the criminal nature of the activities while continuing to participate and document them. Military prosecutors charged Harmon with conspiracy to maltreat detainees, maltreating detainees, and dereliction of duty. The photographic evidence she created provided overwhelming proof of her direct participation in systematic prisoner abuse. Her defense team struggled to explain why someone documenting abuse for exposure would also participate in the crimes. During legal proceedings, Harmon's photographs became central evidence not only against her but against multiple personnel involved in the Abu Ghraib scandal. Her systematic documentation helped prosecutors build cases against other guards and revealed the widespread nature of prisoner abuse. The images she captured became symbols of American military misconduct worldwide. In May 2005, Sabrina Harmon was convicted of conspiracy to maltreat detainees, maltreating detainees, and dereliction of duty. The military court sentenced her to 6 months in prison, reduction in rank, and a bad conduct discharge. Her relatively light sentence reflected her cooperation with investigators and her role as a documenter rather than a primary instigator. Harmon served her 6-month sentence and received a bad conduct discharge that ended her military career permanently. Her photographs continued to damage American military reputation long after her release from prison. The images she captured provided lasting evidence of systematic abuse that undermined U.S. credibility in Iraq and globally. The woman who loved photography became infamous for documenting military crimes that shocked the world. Harmon's case demonstrated how individual actions can have far-reaching consequences for military operations and national security. Her camera captured evidence that would convict multiple personnel and damage America's reputation for decades. Case 3. Kelly Therese Warren. Kelly Therese Warren appeared to be an ordinary Army private when she arrived at the 8th Infantry Division headquarters in West Germany during the height of Cold War tensions. Born in 1965, Warren worked as a clerk with access to classified documents at one of America's most sensitive military installations in Europe. Her position placed her at the center of NATO operations during one of the most dangerous periods in modern history. The 8th Infantry Division served as America's frontline defense against potential Soviet invasion, stationed just miles from the East German border. Warren's clerical duties gave her access to classified military documents, troop movements, and strategic planning information that would be invaluable to enemy intelligence services. Her security clearance and trusted position made her a perfect target for foreign recruitment. During the mid-1980s, Hungarian intelligence services approached Warren and successfully recruited her as a spy for the Warsaw Pact. Hungary, as a Soviet satellite state, shared intelligence with Moscow and other communist nations. Warren's recruitment represented a significant intelligence coup for the Eastern Bloc, providing access to NATO military secrets during the final years of the Cold War. Warren began systematically copying classified documents and passing them to her Hungarian handlers through established espionage networks. She photographed military plans, troop strength reports, and strategic assessments that revealed American defensive capabilities in Europe. Each document she stole potentially compromised NATO operations and endangered American lives. The scope of Warren's espionage operation extended far beyond simple document theft. She provided intelligence on American military readiness, defensive positions, and strategic planning that could have been used to plan attacks against U.S. forces. Her betrayal occurred during a period when nuclear war remained a constant threat, and military intelligence could determine the survival of entire nations. While America fought the Cold War, she was selling secrets to the enemy for personal financial gain. Warren received payments from Hungarian intelligence in exchange for classified information that compromised U.S. military operations across Europe. Her motivation appeared purely financial, making her betrayal even more damaging to military morale and security. The FBI and military counterintelligence agencies launched a comprehensive investigation when suspicious activities around classified documents were detected. Warren's access patterns and behavior raised red flags among security personnel who monitored classified information handling. Advanced counterintelligence techniques eventually identified her as the source of leaked information. Warren's arrest in 1988 revealed the full extent of her espionage operation and the damage she had caused to American national security. Military investigators discovered she had been passing classified information to Hungarian intelligence for several years, compromising multiple operations and strategic plans. Her betrayal represented one of the most significant intelligence breaches of the Cold War period. The investigation revealed Warren had compromised sensitive information about NATO defensive strategies, American troop deployments, and military capabilities that could have been used against U.S. forces in the event of conflict. Her espionage potentially endangered thousands of American military personnel stationed across Europe during the Cold War's final phase. During legal proceedings, prosecutors presented evidence of Warren's systematic espionage operation and the massive damage she caused to American national security. Her case demonstrated how a single individual with access to classified information could compromise military operations across an entire theater of operations. The prosecution emphasized the potential consequences of her betrayal during such a critical period. Therese Warren was convicted of espionage and sentenced to 25 years in federal prison for her systematic betrayal of American military secrets. The lengthy sentence reflected the serious nature of her crimes and the extensive damage she caused to national security during the Cold War. She served her sentence until her release in 2011. Warren's case highlighted the vulnerability of classified information to insider threats and the devastating consequences of military personnel betraying their oaths. Her espionage operation compromised American military capabilities during one of the most dangerous periods in modern history, potentially altering the balance of power in Europe during the Cold War's final years. Case 4. Belen Montes. Belen Montes appeared to be the perfect intelligence analyst when she joined the Defense Intelligence Agency in 1985. Born in 1957 to Puerto Rican parents, Montes earned a master's degree from Johns Hopkins University and quickly established herself as one of America's leading experts on Cuban military affairs. Her brilliant analytical mind and Cuban heritage made her invaluable to U.S. intelligence operations during the final years of the Cold War. Montes rose through the ranks at DIA, earning top-secret security clearances and access to America's most sensitive intelligence on Latin America. Her colleagues respected her expertise and analytical capabilities, never suspecting that her deep knowledge of Cuban affairs came from an entirely different source. She became the go-to analyst for Cuban intelligence assessments, briefing senior Pentagon officials and policymakers on Castro's military capabilities. But Montes harbored a secret that would make her one of the most damaging spies in American history. In 1984, before joining DIA, Cuban intelligence services had recruited her during a visit to Cuba. Her ideological sympathy for the Cuban Revolution and opposition to U.S. policies in Latin America made her a willing collaborator with Havana's intelligence apparatus. For 17 years, Cuba's most valuable spy sat at the heart of U.S. intelligence operations, feeding sensitive information directly to Havana while maintaining her cover as a loyal American analyst. Montes used her position to access classified reports on U.S. military capabilities, intelligence operations, and strategic planning related to Cuba and Latin America. Every assessment she wrote potentially served dual purposes: informing U.S. policymakers while protecting Cuban interests. Montes employed sophisticated tradecraft to communicate with her Cuban handlers without detection. She used encrypted shortwave radio transmissions, dead drops, and coded messages to pass intelligence while avoiding surveillance. Her methods demonstrated professional-level espionage training that allowed her to operate undetected for nearly 2 decades. The scope of Montes's espionage operation extended far beyond simple intelligence gathering. She actively worked to protect Cuban agents operating in the United States and warned Havana about planned U.S. intelligence operations. Her betrayal potentially compromised American intelligence assets and endangered the lives of intelligence operatives working against the Cuban government. Montes's position gave her access to intelligence that could have been used to target American military personnel and operations. She knew about U.S. military exercises, intelligence collection methods, and strategic assessments that Cuba could use to counter American activities in the region. Her betrayal occurred during a period when U.S.-Cuba tensions remained high and military conflict was always possible. The FBI's investigation into Montes began in the late 1990s when counterintelligence analysts noticed suspicious patterns in intelligence compromises related to Cuban operations. Advanced surveillance techniques and analysis of communication intercepts eventually identified Montes as the source of leaked information. The investigation revealed the massive scope of her 17-year espionage operation. Montes' arrest on September 21, 2001, came just 10 days after the 9/11 attacks, when national security concerns were at their highest. FBI agents discovered evidence of her systematic espionage operation, including encrypted communications equipment and classified documents. Her timing made her betrayal even more shocking to intelligence professionals already reeling from the terrorist attacks. During legal proceedings, prosecutors revealed that Montes had compromised virtually every aspect of U.S. intelligence operations related to Cuba. Her access to classified information allowed her to warn Cuban intelligence about planned operations, protect Cuban agents, and provide strategic intelligence that enhanced Cuba's defensive capabilities against American activities. Belen Montes pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit espionage and was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. The sentence reflected the massive damage she caused to American national security through her 17-year espionage operation. She served approximately 20 years before her release in January 2023 under strict supervision and monitoring. Montes's case represented one of the most successful long-term espionage operations against the United States, demonstrating how ideological motivation could sustain decades of systematic betrayal. Her position at the heart of U.S. intelligence operations allowed Cuba to stay one step ahead of American activities for nearly 2 decades, fundamentally altering the intelligence balance between the two nations. Case 5. Chelsea Manning. Chelsea Manning enlisted in the U.S. Army in 2007 as Bradley Manning, seeking structure and purpose after a troubled childhood in Oklahoma and Wales. Born in 1987, Manning demonstrated exceptional computer skills from an early age, making her a natural fit for military intelligence work. Her technical abilities and security clearance would soon give her access to some of America's most classified military and diplomatic communications. Manning deployed to Iraq in 2009 as an intelligence analyst with the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, stationed at Forward Operating Base Hammer near Baghdad. Her role involved analyzing classified reports, military communications, and intelligence data to support combat operations. The position required top-secret security clearance and access to multiple classified computer networks containing sensitive information. During her deployment, Manning became increasingly troubled by what she perceived as military misconduct and civilian casualties in Iraq and Afghanistan. She witnessed the disconnect between official military reports and the reality of combat operations, leading to growing disillusionment with American military activities. Her personal struggles with gender identity and military culture compounded her emotional distress. Manning's access to classified networks gave her the ability to download massive amounts of sensitive information without immediate detection. She used her position to systematically collect military reports, diplomatic cables, and classified videos documenting combat operations. Her technical skills allowed her to bypass security measures and copy hundreds of thousands of classified documents. The scope of Manning's document theft was unprecedented in military history. She downloaded over 700,000 classified military and diplomatic documents, including Iraq and Afghanistan war logs, diplomatic cables, and the infamous collateral murder video showing a 2007 Apache helicopter attack in Baghdad. Each document represented a potential compromise of ongoing operations and intelligence sources. Manning established contact with WikiLeaks, the controversial organization founded by Julian Assange that specialized in publishing classified government documents. She began systematically transmitting the stolen documents to WikiLeaks, which would later publish them in coordinated releases that dominated international headlines. Her decision to leak the information would expose American military and diplomatic activities worldwide. One soldier's decision would expose America's secrets to the world, fundamentally altering how classified information was handled and shared within the military. Manning's massive document leak provided unprecedented insight into American military operations, diplomatic communications, and intelligence activities across multiple countries and conflicts. The leaked documents revealed sensitive information about military tactics, intelligence sources, and diplomatic relationships that could endanger American personnel and operations. The Iraq and Afghanistan war logs exposed details about combat operations, civilian casualties, and military strategies that provided valuable intelligence to enemy forces. Diplomatic cables revealed confidential communications that damaged relationships with allied nations. Military investigators launched a comprehensive investigation when suspicious network activity was detected on classified systems. Manning's download patterns and access logs eventually identified her as the source of the massive security breach. Her arrest in May 2010 ended one of the largest intelligence leaks in American military history. During interrogation, Manning admitted to downloading and transmitting the classified documents to WikiLeaks, citing moral objections to American military policies and operations. Her confession revealed the systematic nature of her document theft and the ideological motivations behind her betrayal of military trust. The legal proceedings against Manning became a focal point for debates about whistleblowing, government transparency, and military justice. Her defense team argued she was exposing war crimes and government misconduct, while prosecutors emphasized the massive damage to national security and the endangerment of military personnel and intelligence sources. Chelsea Manning was convicted of multiple charges under the Espionage Act and sentenced to 35 years in military prison. The sentence reflected the unprecedented scope of her document theft and the potential damage to national security operations. Her case became a symbol of the tension between government secrecy and public accountability. In January 2017, President Obama commuted Manning's sentence and she was released after serving approximately 7 years in military prison. Her early release sparked controversy about the appropriate punishment for massive intelligence leaks and the precedent it set for future cases involving classified information. Manning's case fundamentally changed how the military handles classified information and monitors personnel with access to sensitive data. Her massive document leak exposed vulnerabilities in military information systems and led to enhanced security measures designed to prevent similar breaches in the future. 5 women, 5 different crimes, but striking patterns emerge when examining their paths from military service to criminal conviction. Each case reveals how positions of trust within America's military structure can be exploited for personal gain, ideological purposes, or simple criminal behavior that damages national security and military credibility. Access to sensitive information proved to be the common thread connecting these cases across different eras and military branches. England and Harmon gained authority over Iraqi prisoners through their military police roles, Warren's clerical position provided access to NATO classified documents during the Cold War. Montes used her intelligence analyst credentials to access America's most sensitive Cuban intelligence. Manning's technical skills and security clearance allowed her to download massive amounts of classified military communications. The motivations behind their crimes varied dramatically, revealing the complex factors that can lead military personnel to betray their oaths. England and Harmon participated in prisoner abuse that appeared driven by group dynamics and toxic leadership rather than personal ideology. Warren's espionage was purely financial, selling American secrets for Hungarian payments. Montes operated from ideological conviction, believing Cuban communism was superior to American democracy, while Manning claimed moral objections to military policies justified her massive document leak. The time span of these crimes demonstrates how military corruption has evolved with changing technology and global conflicts. Warren's Cold War espionage used traditional methods of document photography and dead drops. Montes employed sophisticated radio communications and encryption during her 17-year operation. Manning exploited digital networks and internet communications to steal and transmit unprecedented amounts of classified information to WikiLeaks. Sentence variations reflected the perceived severity of each crime and the damage caused to national security operations. Harmon received only 6 months for her role in documenting prisoner abuse, while England served 17 months for direct participation in the same crimes. Warren and Montes each received 25-year sentences for their systematic espionage operations that compromised military intelligence. Manning's 35-year sentence was later commuted, reflecting ongoing debates about whistleblowing versus espionage. The gender factor played different roles in each case, from the shocking nature of women participating in prisoner abuse to the stereotype-defying reality of female spies operating at the highest levels of American intelligence. These cases challenged assumptions about women in military roles, while demonstrating that criminal behavior transcends gender boundaries when opportunity and motivation align. Each case exposed vulnerabilities in military security systems that required systematic reforms to prevent similar breaches. The Abu Ghraib scandal led to enhanced oversight of detention operations and prisoner treatment protocols. Warren's espionage highlighted the need for better monitoring of personnel with access to classified information. Montes's long-term operation revealed gaps in counterintelligence screening and periodic security reviews. Manning's massive leak forced comprehensive changes to classified information systems and access controls. The international impact of these crimes extended far beyond individual prosecutions, damaging America's military reputation and providing propaganda material for enemy forces. The Abu Ghraib photographs became symbols of American military misconduct worldwide. Espionage cases compromised ongoing intelligence operations and endangered American personnel. Manning's document releases exposed sensitive diplomatic communications and military tactics to hostile nations. These 5 cases represent different aspects of military corruption, from local criminal behavior to systematic espionage operations that spanned decades. Each woman exploited her position of trust within America's military structure, causing damage that extended far beyond their individual actions and required years of effort to repair. 5 women who swore to defend America instead became symbols of military betrayal, their crimes spanning from Iraqi prison cells to Cuban intelligence networks to WikiLeaks servers. Lynndie, England, served 17 months for prisoner abuse that shocked the world. Sabrina Harmon received 6 months for documenting torture while participating in the crimes. Kelly Warren spent 25 years in prison for selling NATO secrets to Hungarian intelligence during the Cold War. Belen Montes served 20 years for her 17-year espionage operation that made her Cuba's most valuable spy. Chelsea Manning's 35-year sentence was commuted after 7 years for leaking over 700,000 classified documents. Their collective impact on American military credibility cannot be measured in prison sentences alone. The Abu Ghraib photographs provided enemy propaganda for decades, undermining U.S. efforts to win hearts and minds in Iraq and Afghanistan. Warren's Cold War espionage compromised NATO defensive strategies during one of history's most dangerous periods. Montes's intelligence betrayal allowed Cuba to stay ahead of American operations for nearly 2 decades, while Manning's massive leak exposed sensitive military tactics and diplomatic communications to hostile nations worldwide. These cases reveal how individual actions can have far-reaching consequences for national security, military operations, and America's standing in the global community. Each woman exploited her position of trust to commit crimes that extended far beyond personal consequences, affecting military personnel, intelligence operations, and international relationships that took years to repair. Which case shocked you the most? The systematic prisoner abuse at Abu Ghraib that became symbols of military misconduct? Kelly Warren's Cold War espionage that sold American secrets to communist intelligence services? Ana Belen Montes's 17-year operation as Cuba's master spy within U.S. intelligence? Or Chelsea Manning's unprecedented leak of classified military documents to WikiLeaks? The debate continues over appropriate punishments for military personnel who betray their oaths and compromise national security. Should espionage cases like Warren and Montes have received life sentences for their systematic betrayal? Was Manning's commuted sentence appropriate for someone who claimed moral motivations? Did the Abu Ghraib sentences adequately reflect the international damage caused by prisoner abuse? These women didn't just break military law. They shattered the trust that forms the foundation of military service and national security. Their crimes demonstrate that corruption and betrayal can emerge from any rank, any background, and any motivation when opportunity meets personal choice. Subscribe to Savage Case Files for more investigations into military crimes, corruption cases, and the pursuit of justice within America's armed forces. Hit the notification bell to never miss our examinations of how individual betrayals can compromise entire military operations and damage national security. From prison abuse to espionage to massive intelligence leaks, these 5 cases represent the spectrum of military corruption and the consequences that follow when service members choose crime over country. Their stories serve as reminders that military honor must be earned daily, and that betrayal of trust carries consequences that extend far beyond individual punishment. This has been Savage Case Files, where military justice meets accountability, and where the truth about corruption within America's armed forces is exposed. 5 women who chose betrayal over honor, crime over duty, and personal gain over national security. Their sentences may have ended, but the damage to military credibility and national security continues to resonate through American military operations worldwide. Justice was served, but the cost of their betrayals will be measured in decades of damaged relationships, compromised operations, and the ongoing effort to rebuild trust in America's military institutions.